I never thought my wedding day would end with me in a police station, but here we are. My name is Rebecca, I'm 32 years old, and I just pulled off what my lawyer is calling the most justified act of revenge she's seen in her 15-year career. Let me back up. This story doesn't start on my wedding day. It starts 3 years ago when I met Daniel at a coffee shop in Seattle. He spilled his latte on my laptop, apologized profusely, and insisted on buying me a new drink plus paying for any repairs. My laptop was fine, but I let him buy me coffee anyway. He was charming, funny, had this crooked smile that made my stomach flip. We dated for 6 months before he proposed. Nothing fancy, just the two of us on a hike up Rattlesnake Ledge, him getting down on one knee at the summit with a ring his grandmother had given him. I said yes without hesitation. I thought I'd found my person. Planning the wedding was exciting at first. We wanted something intimate, about 75 guests, at a beautiful vineyard in Woodinville. I'd been saving for years, had about $40,000 set aside specifically for this. Daniel worked in tech sales and made decent money, but he'd just bought a condo and had student loans, so I told him I'd cover most of the wedding costs. We were going to be married anyway, I figured. What's mine would be his, and vice versa. The problem started small. Daniel's best friend Marcus was his best man, and from day one, Marcus had opinions, strong opinions, about everything. The venue was too far from Seattle. The color scheme was too feminine. The menu didn't have enough meat options. I tried to be accommodating because Marcus was Daniel's oldest friend. They'd known each other since middle school, but then Marcus started inserting himself into decisions that had nothing to do with him. He convinced Daniel we needed a full open bar instead of beer and wine only. That added $4,000 to the budget. He insisted the bachelor party had to be in Vegas for a full weekend, not just a night out in Seattle like Daniel and I had discussed. Another $3,000 once you factored in flights and hotels. Every time I tried to push back, Daniel would say the same thing. Marcus is my best man. This is important to him. He's been there for me through everything. I swallowed my frustration and told myself it was just wedding stress. Lots of couples dealt with opinionated friends and family. We'd get through it. 6 months before the wedding, Daniel sat me down with a serious expression. We need to talk about something, and I need you to hear me out before you react. My heart started pounding. That's never a good opening line. Marcus is going through a really hard time financially. His company downsized and he got laid off. He's struggling to find work in his field. Daniel paused, looking uncomfortable. He can't afford to be in the wedding anymore. The tux rental, the bachelor party expenses, all of it. He's embarrassed about it. That's understandable, I said carefully. Maybe we can help him out with the tux rental. It's only $150. Daniel shook his head. It's more than that. He's probably going to have to move out of his apartment. He's basically broke, Rebecca. And I was thinking, since we have some cushion in the wedding budget, maybe we could help him out more substantially. I felt my stomach drop. What do you mean by more substantially? Maybe we could lend him some money to get him through the next few months while he finds a new job, just until he gets back on his feet. How much money? Daniel looked away. $10,000. I actually laughed. I couldn't help it. $10,000? Daniel, that's a quarter of our wedding budget. We could scale some things back. We don't need the upgraded floral arrangements. We could do a DJ instead of a live band. Those aren't my choices to scale back, I said, feeling heat rise in my face. I'm paying for this wedding. I saved for 3 years for this, and we're about to be married. My best friend is in crisis. I thought you'd understand that family helps family. Marcus isn't family yet, and even if he was, $10,000 is a lot of money to just hand over. It's not handing over, it's a loan. He'll pay us back. When? How? He doesn't have a job. Daniel's jaw tightened in that way it did when he was getting defensive. I can't believe you're being so selfish about this. This is my best friend. He'd do the same for me. We argued for 2 hours. Eventually, I agreed to lend Marcus $5,000, half of what Daniel wanted, on the condition that we'd have a written agreement that he'd pay it back within a year. Daniel acted like I'd just agreed to donate a kidney, so grateful, so relieved. I should have seen the red flag the size of a billboard, but I told myself I was being a good partner, compromising, supporting Daniel's friendship. Marcus never signed any written agreement. Every time I brought it up, Daniel said he'd handle it, that it was awkward to make it so formal, that Marcus was good for it. The wedding planning continued, but the joy had leaked out of it for me. Every decision felt like a battle. Marcus had recovered enough from his financial crisis to have opinions again. He thought my choice of bridesmaid dresses was ugly. He thought the ceremony was too long. He thought we should have a chocolate groom's cake in addition to the main cake. And Daniel always sided with him. 2 months before the wedding, I was going over the final budget with our wedding planner when I noticed something odd. There was a charge for $7,500 to a luxury car rental company. I didn't recognize it. I called Daniel at work. "Hey, do you know anything about a charge to Prestige Auto Rentals?" There was a pause. "Oh yeah, I meant to talk to you about that." My stomach sank. "What is it?" Marcus thought it would be really cool if we arrived at the reception in a vintage Rolls-Royce. "It's a surprise for you. I used the wedding account to book it." I closed my eyes and counted to 10. "Daniel, we didn't budget for that. It's only $7,500. We have room." "We had room before you decided to spend it without asking me." "This is my money, Daniel, my savings, our money. We're getting married in 2 months." "We're not married yet. And you just spent $7,500 of my money without my permission." Another fight. This one was worse. Daniel accused me of being controlling, of not trusting him, of treating him like he wasn't an equal partner. I accused him of letting Marcus run our wedding, of making financial decisions without me, of taking advantage of the fact that I was covering the costs. We eventually calmed down. Daniel apologized. He said he got caught up in Marcus's excitement and didn't think it through. He promised it wouldn't happen again. He said he'd be more conscious about consulting me on decisions. I canceled the Rolls-Royce. We got back $6,500 after the cancellation fee. The final month before the wedding was a blur of last-minute details, dress fittings, confirming vendor arrangements. I was so busy I didn't have time to notice what Daniel was doing. That was my second mistake. The first mistake was not calling off the wedding after the Rolls-Royce incident. My wedding day started beautiful. September 23rd, perfect Seattle weather, sunny but not too hot. My bridesmaids, my sister Kate and my 2 best friends from college, Jessica and Amanda, helped me get ready at the hotel. My dress was everything I'd dreamed of. Lace sleeves, fitted bodice, flowing skirt. I actually felt like a bride. We got to the vineyard at 2 o'clock. The ceremony was at 4. I was greeting early arriving guests when I saw Marcus walking across the lawn with Daniel. They were laughing about something, and Marcus was holding what looked like a piece of paper. I didn't think much of it at the time. I had 1,000 other things on my mind. The ceremony was supposed to start at 4. By 4:15, Daniel still hadn't taken his place at the altar. My wedding planner found me in the bridal suite where I was waiting with my father to walk down the aisle. "There's a slight delay," she said, looking uncomfortable. "The groom needs a few more minutes." "Is everything okay?" "I'm sure it's fine. Just some last-minute best man speech preparation or something." At 4:30, my sister Kate came into the bridal suite. Her face was pale. "Rebecca, we need to talk. Without Dad." My father looked between us, then quietly left the room. "What's wrong? Is Daniel okay?" Kate sat down next to me and took my hands. She looked like she might cry. "I need you to stay calm when I tell you this." My heart started racing. "Tell me what?" Jessica overheard Marcus and Daniel talking outside. She pulled out her phone and showed me a recording. I didn't even know she'd been recording. Later, she told me she'd had a bad feeling about Marcus all day and started recording when she saw him and Daniel talking privately. I pressed play. The audio was clear. Marcus's voice. "Dude, I still can't believe you pulled it off." Daniel laughing. "I know, right? She has no idea." "The wedding account," Marcus said, $32,000. That's enough for both of us to invest in the crypto opportunity. My guy says we could triple it in 6 months. My blood went cold. Daniel's voice continued, She's going to lose it when she finds out, but by then we'll have made the money back plus profit. I'll tell her it was a surprise investment for our future." "What if it doesn't work out?" Marcus asked. "It will. And even if it doesn't, we're about to be married. Her money is my money anyway. Community property and all that." They both laughed. I sat there, holding Kate's phone, listening to my fiancé admit he'd stolen $32,000 from our wedding account to invest in some crypto scheme with his best friend. Money he planned to gamble with, hoping to triple it before I noticed it was gone. The room started spinning. Kate grabbed my shoulders. "Breathe, Rebecca, just breathe." "He stole from me." The words came out as a whisper. "I know. He stole my money. For crypto. With Marcus. Yes, and he was just going to let me find out after the wedding when it's legally his money too." Kate nodded, tears in her eyes now. "I'm so sorry." My father came back in. "What's going on? The guests are getting restless." I stood up. My legs felt shaky, but my mind was suddenly crystal clear. "I need to see Daniel, right now." "Rebecca," Kate started, but I was already walking. I found Daniel in the groom's suite with Marcus and the other groomsmen. They were drinking whiskey and laughing about something. Daniel's face lit up when he saw me. "Hey, you're not supposed to see me before the ceremony. Bad luck." "I think we're past worrying about luck." I held up Kate's phone. "Want to explain this?" I played the recording. Watching Daniel's face change from confusion to realization to panic was almost satisfying. Almost. "Rebecca, I can explain. You stole $32,000 from me." "It's not stealing, it's our money. I was investing it for us, without asking me, for crypto, with Marcus." Marcus stepped forward. "Rebecca, if you'd just listened to the investment opportunity, you'd understand. This is legitimate. We could triple your money in 6 months." "My money," I said coldly. "Not our money. My money that I saved for 3 years for this wedding, that you two decided to gamble with." "It's not gambling," Daniel said desperately. "It's a calculated investment." "Did you calculate what would happen when all our vendors showed up today expecting to be paid and the account was empty?" His face went white. "What?" "Our wedding planner ran the final payments yesterday. The caterer, the band, the florist, the photographer. $35,000 in final payments. Did you calculate that?" I had been planning to make those payments from my personal checking account and reimburse myself from the wedding account after. But I hadn't told Daniel that because I wanted to see how long it would take him to realize what he'd done. Daniel looked like he might throw up. "The vendors aren't paid?" "Oh, they're paid. I paid them this morning from my personal account when I noticed $32,000 missing from the wedding account. I thought it was a bank error at first. Funny how that works." "Okay, so everything is fine then." Daniel's voice was desperate. "We can fix this. I'll transfer the money back right now." "Can you? Because according to the text messages I found on your iPad that syncs with your phone, you already transferred that money to some crypto wallet yesterday. How exactly are you going to get it back right now?" Silence. Complete, stunned silence. The other groomsmen were staring at their shoes. Marcus looked defiant. Daniel looked like he wanted to disappear. "Here's what's going to happen," I said, surprised by how calm my voice sounded. "You're going to go out there and tell all 75 guests that the wedding is canceled. You're going to explain exactly why. And then you're going to figure out how to get my $32,000 back." "Rebecca, please." Daniel reached for my hand. I pulled away. "Can we talk about this privately?" "No. You made this decision with Marcus. You can face the consequences with an audience." "You're being irrational. This is our wedding day." "Was our wedding day. I'm not marrying someone who steals from me." I turned to walk away, but Marcus grabbed my arm. "You're making a huge mistake. This is just cold feet. You're overreacting." I looked at his hand on my arm, then at his face. "Let go of me." "Not until you calm down and think about this reasonably." That's when my sister Kate appeared with my father and 2 of the groomsmen, who apparently had more sense than Marcus. They physically removed his hand from my arm. "Touch her again and we'll have a problem," my father said quietly. His voice had that dangerous calm that I'd only heard a few times in my life. Marcus stepped back, hands up. Whatever, this is insane anyway. Daniel, you're better off without her. She's been controlling this whole wedding from the start. Something in me snapped. Controlling? I paid for this wedding. I made every decision because I was the one writing the checks. And apparently that gave you two the idea that you could just help yourselves to my money. Daniel finally spoke up. Rebecca, I made a mistake. A huge mistake. But please, let's not throw away 3 years over this. We can work through it. Work through it? You stole from me. You planned to cover it up. You literally said on that recording that once we're married, my money becomes your money anyway. You were counting on me being legally trapped. That's not what I meant. That's exactly what you meant. I heard you say it. The wedding planner appeared in the doorway looking stressed. I'm sorry to interrupt, but the guests are asking what's happening. The ceremony is now 45 minutes late. I looked at Daniel. Tell them. Rebecca, come on, tell them or I will. And trust me, you'll prefer your version. Daniel looked around the room like someone might save him. No one moved. Finally, he walked out toward the ceremony space. I followed at a distance, my father and sister on either side of me. I watched from the back as Daniel approached the microphone at the altar. The guests quieted down, expectant smiles on their faces. My mother was in the front row, looking confused but happy. Daniel's parents were next to her. Daniel cleared his throat. The microphone feedback screeched slightly. I need to make an announcement. There's not going to be a wedding today. Gasps from the crowd. My mother's hand flew to her mouth. Daniel continued, his voice shaking now. I made a serious mistake. I took money from our wedding account without Rebecca's knowledge or permission. I invested it in something risky without consulting her. She found out today and she's calling off the wedding because of it. I felt a flash of anger. Even now, he was minimizing it, making it sound like a simple disagreement about an investment rather than theft and betrayal. I walked down the aisle. Every eye turned to me. I reached the microphone and gently moved Daniel aside. Let me clarify, I said, my voice steady despite my racing heart. Daniel didn't just take money for an investment. He stole $32,000 from the wedding account 3 days ago. He transferred it to a cryptocurrency wallet as part of a scheme with his best man, Marcus. I found out today, 2 hours before our ceremony, because my bridesmaid overheard them talking about it. On the recording, you can hear Daniel say that once we were married, my money would legally become his money anyway, due to community property laws, so it didn't matter if I found out later. He was planning to hide this from me until after we were legally married, and it would be too late for me to do anything about it. The silence was deafening. I could see people's faces shifting from confusion to shock to horror. My mother started crying. Daniel's mother looked like she wanted to sink through the floor. His father stood up, his face red. Daniel, is this true? His father demanded. Dad, I can explain. Is it true? Yes or no? Daniel's shoulders slumped. Yes. His father looked at me. I'm so sorry, Rebecca. If I'd known he was capable of something like this, I would have said something before now. I nodded, not trusting myself to speak. Then I walked back down the aisle, through the doors, away from 75 pairs of eyes. In the bridal suite, I broke down. Kate held me while I sobbed. Jessica and Amanda were there too, all of us still in our wedding attire, the day we'd planned for months shattered. What do I do now? I asked through tears. Kate pulled back and looked at me seriously. Now you make him pay. I can't get the money back if it's in crypto. It's probably gone. I'm not talking about the money. I'm talking about making sure he faces real consequences. She was right. If I just walked away, Daniel would tell everyone his version of events. He'd minimize what he did. He'd find a way to make himself the victim. And Marcus would back him up, would help him spin the story. I needed documentation. I needed proof. I needed to make sure that everyone knew exactly what had happened. First, I called my lawyer. Her name was Patricia Chen, and she'd helped me set up my business when I started my freelance consulting company 2 years ago. It was Saturday evening, but she answered on the third ring. Rebecca, hi, aren't you getting married today? That's why I'm calling. I need legal advice. Now. I explained everything. The stolen money, the recording, the canceled wedding. Patricia listened without interrupting. When I finished, she was quiet for a moment. Then she said, "Do you want to pursue criminal charges?" "Can I?" "Absolutely. What he did is theft. The fact that you were engaged doesn't give him legal access to your money. That account was in your name only, correct?" "Yes, my name only." "And he accessed it how?" I realized with a sinking feeling that I'd given Daniel the login information months ago when he said he wanted to keep track of wedding expenses. Another stupid, trusting mistake. I gave him the password. Doesn't matter, the account wasn't his. He didn't have authorization to withdraw funds, especially not for his own personal use. That's theft. Potentially felony theft, depending on how the prosecutor wants to charge it. What do I need to do? First, secure all your accounts. Change every password he might know. Second, go to the police and file a report. Bring the recording, bring your bank statements, bring everything. Third, document every communication from here on out. If he tries to contact you, don't respond. Just save the messages. What about the money? Is there any way to get it back? That's trickier. If it's already in cryptocurrency, tracing it becomes complicated. But that's a separate issue from the criminal charges. Right now, focus on documentation and filing the police report. After I hung up with Patricia, I spent an hour going through every account I had. Bank accounts, credit cards, investment accounts, even my Netflix password. Anything Daniel might have access to, I changed. Kate sat with me, making a list of everything I was changing, helping me keep track. Then I called the police non-emergency line. I explained that I needed to file a theft report. They told me to come to the station. "I'm still in my wedding dress," I said. The operator paused. "Ma'am, are you safe? Is someone threatening you?" "No, nothing like that. My fiancé stole money from me and I found out on our wedding day. The wedding is canceled. I need to file a report, but I haven't had a chance to change clothes." Another pause. "Come on down. We'll take your statement regardless of what you're wearing." Kate drove me to the police station. I walked in wearing a $6,000 wedding dress, makeup streaked from crying, veil still pinned in my hair. Every person in that waiting room stared at me. The officer at the front desk, a woman in her 50s with kind eyes, took one look at me and said, "Oh, honey, come on back." Her name was Officer Linda Martinez. She led me to a small interview room and brought me water and tissues. Then she sat down with a notepad and said, "Tell me everything." I did. From the beginning. The $5,000 loan to Marcus, the unauthorized Rolls-Royce rental, the missing $32,000, the recording of Daniel and Marcus discussing how they'd used my money for crypto investment, how Daniel planned to hide it until after we were legally married. Officer Martinez wrote everything down. Then she asked to hear the recording. I played it for her. She listened, her expression growing harder with each second. "Do you have access to the bank account in question?" Yes. I pulled up my banking app and showed her the account history. The $32,000 withdrawal 3 days before the wedding. The transfer to an account I didn't recognize. "Do you know whose account that is?" Daniel showed me once. It's his personal crypto exchange account. He wanted me to know he was being responsible about investing. I almost laughed at the irony. Officer Martinez nodded. "Okay, here's what we're going to do. I'm filing this as felony theft. The amount exceeds $5,000, which makes it a Class B felony in Washington state. We'll need to investigate, talk to Daniel, probably talk to Marcus as well since he seems to be involved. This is going to take some time." How much time? Could be days, could be weeks. Financial crimes aren't as straightforward as other cases. We need to trace the money, establish intent, build a case. But based on what you've shown me and that recording, I feel confident we have enough to move forward. What happens to Daniel? If we can establish sufficient evidence, and it looks like we can, he'll be arrested. He'll be charged. It'll go to court. He could face up to 10 years in prison and a $20,000 fine if convicted, though first-time offenders usually get lesser sentences. I sat with that information. Daniel could go to prison because of what I was doing right now. part of me felt guilty. The part that had loved him for 3 years. The part that had said yes when he proposed. But a stronger part of me, the part that was furious and hurt and betrayed, felt satisfied. He stole from me, I said out loud, as if saying it would make the guilt go away. Yes, he did. And what you're doing right now is holding him accountable. That's not wrong. That's justice. After giving my statement and signing paperwork, Kate drove me back to the hotel. It was 9 o'clock at night. My wedding day that should have ended with dancing and cake and joy instead ended with a police report and ruined makeup. In my hotel room, I finally took off the dress. I hung it carefully in the closet, this beautiful, expensive dress I'd never wear again. Then I put on sweatpants and a t-shirt and ordered room service. My phone had been buzzing all evening. I'd been ignoring it, but now I looked. 43 text messages, 15 missed calls, 3 voicemails. Most were from Daniel. "Rebecca, please call me. We need to talk about this. You're making a huge mistake. I love you. How can you do this to us?" Several were from Marcus. "You're going to regret this. Daniel doesn't deserve this. You're ruining his life over money. That's messed up." A few were from mutual friends asking what happened, if I was okay, if there was anything they could do. And one was from Daniel's mother. "Rebecca, I understand you're hurt, but please reconsider. Daniel made a mistake, but he loves you. Can we meet and talk about this?" I didn't respond to any of them. Patricia had said not to, and I was going to follow her advice. Instead, I composed a single Facebook post. I'd been debating whether to do this, but I decided I wanted the truth out there before Daniel could control the narrative. I wrote, "Today was supposed to be my wedding day. Instead, I discovered that my fiancé stole $32,000 from our wedding account to invest in cryptocurrency with his best man. I found out 2 hours before the ceremony. I filed a police report tonight for felony theft. To everyone who came today and witnessed that disaster, I'm sorry. You deserved better. I deserved better. To Daniel, you should have just asked. I would have said no, but at least you wouldn't be facing criminal charges now." I posted it before I could second-guess myself. Within minutes, comments started flooding in. Friends expressing shock and support, family members saying they stood by me, even people I barely knew chiming in with their own stories of financial betrayal. And then Daniel's friends started commenting. "You're vindictive. He made a mistake. You're ruining his life. This is an overreaction. You'll regret this." I turned off notifications and put my phone down. Let them think what they wanted. I knew the truth. The next morning, Sunday, I woke up to my phone ringing. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. "Rebecca?" "It's Detective James Morrison with the Seattle Police Department. Officer Martinez passed your case to me. I'm the lead investigator for financial crimes." "Oh, hi." I sat up in bed, suddenly wide awake. "I wanted to let you know we've already made contact with Daniel. He's been asked to come in for questioning tomorrow morning." That was fast. "The evidence you provided was very clear. We have enough to move forward quickly. I also wanted to ask if you'd be willing to provide any additional documentation, emails, text messages, anything that might show a pattern of financial behavior." "Yes, absolutely. What do you need?" Detective Morrison walked me through what would be helpful. Any evidence that Daniel had a history of spending my money without permission, any conversations about the wedding account, any discussions about the crypto investment. I spent 2 hours going through my email and text messages. I found more than I expected. Texts where I'd questioned charges on the wedding account and Daniel had brushed off my concerns. Emails where I'd explicitly told him not to make purchases without checking with me first. A conversation from 2 months ago where he'd joked about how I was so focused on saving money when we were about to be married and share everything anyway. It painted a picture. Daniel hadn't just stolen from me once. He'd been building up to it, testing boundaries, seeing what he could get away with. I sent everything to Detective Morrison. His response came quickly. "This is excellent, thank you. We'll be in touch soon." That afternoon, my sister Kate came over with food and wine. We sat in my hotel room eating takeout Chinese and processing everything that had happened. "How are you really doing?" she asked. "I don't know. I feel numb mostly. angry sometimes, sad other times, relieved that I found out before we actually got married. Do you think you would have found out if Jessica hadn't recorded that conversation? I thought about it. Eventually, yeah. When the crypto investment either tanked or when he decided to cash out and had to explain where the money came from. But by then, we would have been married, and legally it gets so much more complicated. Do you regret calling the police? I looked at my sister. No, he stole from me, Kate. $32,000. That's not a mistake or a misunderstanding. That's a crime. If I let him get away with it, what message does that send? That it's okay to steal from people you claim to love as long as you apologize after? She reached over and squeezed my hand. I'm proud of you. I know that probably sounds weird, but I am. You could have just walked away. A lot of people would have. But you're holding him accountable. Or I'm being vindictive. That's what half the comments on my Facebook post say. Those people aren't the ones who had $32,000 stolen from them. Monday morning, I got a call from Detective Morrison. Daniel came in for questioning this morning with his lawyer. He admitted to taking the money but claims it was a misunderstanding. Says he thought he had implicit permission to use wedding funds for investments that would benefit both of you. That's absurd. It was in my name only. His lawyer is arguing that as an engaged couple planning to marry, there was an implied financial partnership. We've seen this defense before. It rarely works, but they're trying. What happens now? We're moving forward with charges. The prosecutor's office has reviewed the evidence and agrees we have a strong case. Daniel will be formally charged with theft in the first degree. He'll be arraigned, probably within the next week. Will I have to testify? Possibly, if it goes to trial, but often these cases are resolved with plea bargains. His lawyer will likely try to negotiate something. What kind of plea bargain? That depends on a lot of factors. Restitution, probation, possibly some jail time. But that's up to the prosecutor and ultimately the judge. After hanging up with Detective Morrison, I sat in my hotel room and cried. Not because I regretted what I'd done, but because this was really happening. The man I'd planned to marry was being charged with a felony. Our relationship was over. The future I'd imagined was gone. My phone buzzed, a text from an unknown number. I almost deleted it without reading, but curiosity won. The message read, "This is Daniel's dad. Please call me. I need to talk to you about something important." I debated for a full minute before calling back. He answered immediately. "Rebecca, thank you for calling. I know things are complicated right now, but I need to ask you something." "Okay. Is there any way you'd consider dropping the charges?" My jaw clenched. "No. Please, just hear me out. Daniel made a terrible mistake. He knows that. His mother and I know that. But a felony conviction will ruin his life. He'll lose his job. He'll never work in tech again. Please, there has to be another way to resolve this. He stole $32,000 from me. If it was anyone else, would you be asking me to drop charges?" Silence. Then, quietly, "No, probably not." "Then why should Daniel get special treatment?" "Because I'm asking you for mercy. Because I know he's sorry. Because I'm willing to personally guarantee restitution. I'll pay you back the $32,000 myself. Today, right now. Just please drop the charges." I thought about it. $32,000 back in my account today. No waiting, no uncertainty. It was tempting. But then I thought about the recording. Daniel laughing with Marcus about how once we were married, my money would be his anyway. The premeditation. The betrayal. "I can't," I said finally. "I'm sorry, but this isn't just about the money. It's about accountability. Daniel needs to face consequences for what he did." Daniel's father was quiet for a long moment. "I understand. I don't agree, but I understand. For what it's worth, I'm ashamed of my son. I raised him better than this. I know you did." After we hung up, I felt the weight of what I'd just done. I'd turned down $32,000 because I wanted Daniel to be held accountable. Some people would think that was stupid. Maybe it was, but it felt right. Tuesday afternoon, I got another call, this time from Marcus. "You need to stop this," he said without preamble. No hello, no introduction. "Excuse me?" "You heard me. Drop the charges against Daniel. This has gone far enough. Who do you think you are, calling and telling me what to do? I'm someone who actually cares about Daniel, unlike you apparently. You're willing to ruin his entire life over money you're going to get back anyway. Am I? Because that money is in crypto that you two invested in. How exactly am I getting it back? That's not the point. The point is you're being vindictive. You're doing this to punish him. He stole from me, Marcus. That's a crime. I'm not punishing him. The legal system is. Because you reported it. Because you chose to involve the police instead of working it out like adults. Working it out like adults? I found out on my wedding day, 2 hours before the ceremony. You want to tell me what the adult way to handle that would have been? Not calling the cops. Not trying to send your fiancé to prison. That's psychotic. I'm done with this conversation. I started to hang up. Wait. Marcus's voice changed, became almost pleading. Rebecca, please, Daniel's falling apart. He can't eat, can't sleep. His job is asking questions. His whole life is imploding. Have some compassion. Where was his compassion when he stole from me? He made a mistake. Stop calling it a mistake. Mistakes are accidental. This was planned. I have a recording of you two discussing it, laughing about it. You knew exactly what you were doing. Marcus was silent. Then, quietly, if I paid you back, would you drop the charges? Can you? Can you pay me $32,000? More silence. Then, I could probably get it. It would take some time, but I could do it. Interesting. So you have money, but Daniel's dad is offering to pay me back, and you're not chipping in to help your best friend? I heard him take a breath. This isn't about the money for you, is it? This is about revenge. No, Marcus. This is about consequences, something neither of you seem to understand. Don't call me again. I hung up. My hands were shaking, part from anger, part from adrenaline. Wednesday morning, I moved out of the hotel and back into my apartment. I'd been living with Daniel for the past year at his condo, but my name wasn't on the lease, and I wasn't about to go back there. Fortunately, I'd kept my apartment when we moved in together. I'd been renting it out to a friend from work who was between places, but she'd just moved out 2 weeks ago. Perfect timing in a horrible way. My apartment felt strange, like a time capsule of who I'd been before Daniel. I walked through the rooms, remembering the person who'd lived here, who'd been excited about getting engaged, who'd trusted so completely. That afternoon, Detective Morrison called again. I have news. Daniel was formally charged this morning. First-degree theft. He was arraigned and released on his own recognizance. The trial date is set for 2 months from now. 2 months. Unless there's a plea deal before then. His lawyer has already reached out to the prosecutor about negotiating. What kind of deal? Right now, they're proposing full restitution, 2 years probation, and community service. No jail time. The prosecutor is pushing back. She wants at least 6 months jail time. What do you think will happen? Honestly, probably somewhere in the middle. Maybe 90 days jail time, full restitution, probation. But that's just my experience with similar cases. Every situation is different. Do I have any say in what deal gets accepted? You can provide a victim impact statement. The prosecutor will take your wishes into consideration. But ultimately, it's up to the prosecutor and the judge. I want jail time. Even if it's just 3 months. I need him to understand this was serious. I'll make sure the prosecutor knows that. That evening, my mother came over. She'd been at the wedding, had seen everything, but we hadn't really talked since. She brought groceries and started making dinner in my kitchen without asking. That was her way, showing love through food. How are you holding up? She asked, chopping vegetables. I'm okay, mostly. It comes in waves. Your father is furious. He wanted to go over to Daniel's place and, well, I convinced him that wouldn't help. I appreciate that. She was quiet for a moment, just the sound of the knife on the cutting board. Rebecca, I need to ask you something, and I want you to be honest. Okay. Do you regret calling the police? I thought about lying, about giving her the answer she probably wanted. But I was too tired for anything but truth. No, I don't. He stole from me, Mom. $32,000. If he'd stolen that much from a bank, everyone would agree he should be arrested. Why should it be different because he stole from me? Because you loved him. Because you were going to marry him. And that makes it okay? Because we were engaged, he gets to steal from me without consequences. My mother turned to face me. Of course not, you're right. I just worry that you're going to look back on this someday and regret how you handled it. Maybe I will. But right now, in this moment, I know I'm doing the right thing. He can't just take what he wants from people and apologize later. That's not how the world works. She came over and hugged me. My fierce girl, I'm proud of you even if this is painful. Over the next few weeks, my life slowly found a new normal. I threw myself into work. I spent time with friends. I started seeing a therapist to process everything that had happened, and I waited for news about Daniel's case. The social media aftermath was brutal. Daniel's friends had rallied around him, painting me as a bitter ex who was ruining an innocent man's life over a misunderstanding. My Facebook post had been shared hundreds of times, with people taking sides. Some supported me, others thought I was vindictive and cruel. I made my accounts private and stopped reading comments. What strangers on the internet thought didn't matter. I knew the truth. 3 weeks after the wedding that never happened, I got a call from the prosecutor. Her name was Amanda Reynolds, and she had a no-nonsense voice that I immediately liked. Rebecca, I wanted to update you on Daniel's case. His lawyer is still trying to negotiate a deal. They're now proposing full restitution plus 15% interest, 18 months probation, 200 hours community service, and 30 days in jail. What do you think? I think we can do better. I'm holding firm on 90 days. This was premeditated theft. He planned it, executed it, and tried to hide it. That deserves real consequences. I agree. Good. I also wanted to prepare you. His lawyer is going to try to paint you as vindictive during trial if we don't get a plea deal. They'll argue that you're a scorned woman seeking revenge, that this is about the relationship ending and not about the actual crime. Let them try. I have a recording of him and Marcus discussing the theft. I have bank records, I have text messages. They can say whatever they want about my motivations, but the evidence speaks for itself. That's exactly the right attitude. We have a strong case. I'm confident about that. A week later, I ran into Marcus at a coffee shop. I was in line waiting to order when I saw him at a table in the corner. He saw me at the same moment. For a second, we just stared at each other. Then he stood up and walked over. We need to talk. No, we don't. I turned back to the counter. Daniel's life is falling apart because of you. I didn't respond. The barista asked for my order. I gave it, paid, and moved to the side to wait. Marcus followed me. He lost his job. Did you know that? His company found out about the charges and let him go. He can't pay rent. He's probably going to lose his condo. That's unfortunate. Maybe he should have thought about that before he stole $32,000. It was a bad decision, not a crime. It's literally a crime, Marcus. That's why he's been charged with a crime. You could fix this. You could drop the charges right now and all of this goes away. And then what? He faces no consequences? He learns that he can steal from people as long as he says sorry afterward? You're being cruel. I'm being just. There's a difference. The barista called my name. I grabbed my coffee and headed for the door. Marcus followed me out onto the street. How can you sleep at night knowing you're destroying someone's life? I stopped and turned to face him. You want to know how I sleep? I sleep fine, because every night before I close my eyes, I remember that recording of you and Daniel laughing about how you stole my money. I remember Daniel saying that once we were married, it wouldn't matter because my money would legally be his anyway. I remember that he was planning to hide this from me until it was too late for me to do anything about it. That's how I sleep, Marcus. I sleep knowing I'm the victim here, not him. He had nothing to say to that. I walked away. 6 weeks after the canceled wedding, Detective Morrison called. I have news. Daniel took a plea deal. My heart started racing. What deal? 60 days in jail, 3 years probation, full restitution of $32,000 plus 20% interest, and 500 hours community service. He also has to attend financial counseling. He accepted that? His lawyer advised him to. We were about to go to trial, and the evidence against him was overwhelming. This was his best option. When does he go to jail? Sentencing is next week. He'll probably start serving time within 30 days after that. I felt a complicated mix of emotions: relief that it was over, satisfaction that there were real consequences, and a tiny bit of sadness for what could have been if Daniel had just been honest. Thank you, detective, for everything. You did the hard part. You stood up for yourself. A lot of people don't. The sentencing hearing was on a Thursday morning. I didn't have to be there, but I wanted to be. I wanted to look Daniel in the eye one more time. The courtroom was small. Daniel sat at the defense table with his lawyer. His parents were in the gallery. Marcus was there too. When I walked in, they all turned to look at me. Daniel's face was pale, thinner than I remembered. He looked like he hadn't been sleeping. I sat on the opposite side of the gallery. We were called to order. The judge, an older man with silver hair and sharp eyes, reviewed the plea agreement. Then he asked if I wanted to make a victim impact statement. I stood up. Yes, Your Honor. I walked to the front and faced the judge, very aware of Daniel sitting 10 feet away from me. Your Honor, 6 weeks ago, I was supposed to get married. Instead, I discovered that the man I planned to spend my life with had stolen $32,000 from me. That money represented 3 years of savings. It was supposed to pay for our wedding, for the start of our life together. Instead, he gambled it on cryptocurrency without my knowledge or permission. When I confronted him, he didn't apologize. He made excuses. He minimized what he'd done. He tried to convince me it wasn't really stealing because we were about to be married anyway. That showed me that he didn't understand the severity of what he'd done. That's why I'm here today. Not because I want revenge, but because I want accountability. I want Daniel to understand that stealing is wrong, whether you steal from a stranger or someone you claim to love. I want him to face real consequences, so hopefully he never does this to anyone else. Thank you. I sat back down. My hands were shaking, but my voice had been steady. The judge looked at Daniel. Does the defendant wish to make a statement? Daniel stood. He looked at the judge, then briefly at me. Your Honor, I made a terrible mistake. I betrayed someone I loved. I hurt Rebecca in a way I can never fully repair. I understand that now. I accept responsibility for what I did, and I accept the consequences. I'm sorry. He sat back down. The apology felt hollow. Too little, too late. The judge spoke. Mr. Daniel, you violated the trust of someone who loved you. You stole a significant amount of money for personal gain. The fact that you were engaged to the victim does not mitigate your crime. It makes it worse. You exploited a relationship of trust for financial benefit. This court takes such matters seriously. I hereby sentence you to 60 days in county jail, 3 years supervised probation, restitution of $32,000 plus 20% interest to be paid within 2 years, and 500 hours of community service. You will also attend court-mandated financial counseling. Do you understand? Yes, Your Honor. You are to report to county jail on November 1st to begin serving your sentence. This court is adjourned. The gavel struck. It was over. I walked out of the courtroom without looking back. In the hallway, Daniel's mother caught up with me. Rebecca, wait, please. I stopped but didn't turn around. I just want you to know that I understand why you did this. Daniel was wrong. What he did was wrong. I'm not asking you to forgive him. I just wanted to say that I'm sorry. For all of it. I turned to face her. She was crying. Thank you for saying that. I hope someday you can find happiness again. You deserve it. So do you. I'm sorry this happened to your family. She nodded and walked away. Outside the courthouse, Kate was waiting for me. She'd taken the morning off work to be there for support. How do you feel? Relieved. Sad. Ready to move on. That's fair. She linked her arm through mine. Let's get breakfast, my treat. We went to a diner downtown. Over pancakes and coffee, I let myself feel everything I'd been holding back. The grief for the relationship that had ended, the anger at the betrayal, the satisfaction that justice had been served. The hope that maybe, eventually, I'd be okay. "You're going to get through this," Kate said. "You're one of the strongest people I know." I don't feel strong. I feel exhausted. Strength isn't about not being tired. It's about keeping going even when you are. The weeks that followed were quiet. Daniel reported to jail on November 1st. I got a notification from the court that restitution payments would begin once he was released and found employment again. I wasn't holding my breath on seeing that money anytime soon, but at least there was a legal obligation now. I slowly rebuilt my life. I redecorated my apartment, making it fully mine again. I took up painting, something I'd always wanted to try. I spent more time with friends and family. I even went on a few dates, though nothing serious. I wasn't ready for that yet. 3 months after the sentencing, I got a letter in the mail. The return address was the county jail. I almost threw it away without opening it, but curiosity won. Inside was a handwritten letter from Daniel. "Rebecca, I know you probably don't want to hear from me. I understand if you throw this away without reading it, but I needed to write this, even if just for myself. I'm sorry. I know I said that in court, but I need to say it again. I was wrong. What I did was wrong. I betrayed you in the worst way possible. I stole from you, lied to you, and planned to hide it from you. There's no excuse for that, no justification. I've had a lot of time to think in here about who I was, who I became, how I let Marcus influence my decisions. That's not an excuse either. I made my own choices, bad choices, choices that hurt you and destroyed our relationship and landed me in jail. I deserve to be here. I know that now. I don't expect forgiveness. I don't expect you to respond to this letter. I just wanted you to know that you were right to do what you did. You were right to call the police. You were right to press charges. You were right to demand accountability. I needed to face consequences, and because of you, I did. I hope you're doing well. I hope you found peace. You deserved so much better than what I gave you. I'm sorry I couldn't be the man you thought I was. Daniel." I read the letter 3 times. Then I folded it up and put it in a drawer. I didn't respond. There was nothing to say. The apology was nice, but it didn't change anything. It didn't undo the betrayal or erase the pain. But it did give me closure. The knowledge that Daniel finally understood what he'd done wrong, that he accepted responsibility, that he acknowledged I'd been right to hold him accountable. That was enough. 6 months after the canceled wedding, I was having coffee with Jessica, one of my bridesmaids, and the one who'd recorded that fateful conversation between Daniel and Marcus. "Do you ever regret it?" she asked. "The police report, the charges, all of it?" I thought about it. Honestly, no. Sometimes I wish things had been different. I wish Daniel had never stolen from me. I wish we'd actually gotten married and lived happily ever after. But given what actually happened, I don't regret how I handled it. He needed to face consequences. I still can't believe he thought he'd get away with it. I think he assumed I'd be too embarrassed or too in love to do anything about it. He underestimated me. A lot of people do. "You're tougher than you look." I smiled. "I'm tougher than I used to be, that's for sure." "Marcus reached out to me last week," Jessica said. "Did he?" "Yeah. He wanted to know if I'd ever told you I had that recording before the wedding day." "What did you tell him?" "The truth, that I recorded it the day of the wedding and told you immediately. He seemed convinced you'd been planning some kind of revenge and had me spying on them." "That's ridiculous." "I know. But I think it makes him feel better to believe that. Makes it less about what they did and more about you being calculating. People believe what they need to believe to live with themselves. A year after the canceled wedding, I was in a completely different place, literally and figuratively. I'd taken a new job in Portland, a fresh start in a new city. I'd made new friends, explored new hobbies, built a new life. I'd also met someone. His name was Alex, and he was kind and honest and understood that I had trust issues for good reasons. We were taking things slow, but I was happy. Genuinely happy in a way I hadn't been in a long time. One evening, I got an email from the court. Daniel had completed his jail sentence and was now on probation. The first restitution payment had been processed. $500. It wasn't much. At that rate, it would take years to get the full amount back. But it was something. Proof that the system worked, that accountability mattered, that standing up for myself had been worth it. I forwarded the email to Kate with a simple message. First payment received. Her response came immediately. That's my sister, I'm proud of you. I was proud of me too. I'd been through hell, but I'd survived. More than survived, I'd thrived. I'd refused to be a victim, refused to let someone's betrayal define me, refused to accept that love meant tolerating theft and lies. Looking back now, I can see that the canceled wedding was the best thing that could have happened to me. Not because I enjoyed the pain or the public humiliation or the legal battle, but because it showed me who I really was. It showed me that I was strong enough to stand up for myself even when it was hard, that I valued myself enough to demand respect and accountability, that I wouldn't accept being treated poorly just because someone claimed to love me. Daniel taught me what I wouldn't tolerate. Alex is teaching me what I deserve. The $32,000? I'll get it back eventually, or I won't. Either way, it's just money. What I got back was something more valuable: my self-respect, my boundaries, my sense of justice. And that, more than any wedding or any relationship, was worth fighting for. 2 years after everything happened, I got a message on LinkedIn. It was from Marcus. I almost deleted it without reading, but something made me open it. Rebecca, I know this is unexpected. I don't expect a response. I just wanted to say I'm sorry. I was wrong about everything. I encouraged Daniel to take your money. I participated in the plan. I told him it would be fine, that you'd understand eventually. I was wrong. What we did was theft. It was betrayal. It was unforgivable. I've been in therapy for the past year trying to understand why I thought any of that was okay. Why I valued a stupid investment opportunity over basic human decency. Why I helped my best friend destroy his relationship and his life. I don't have good answers. I just know I was wrong. Daniel got out of jail and we don't talk anymore. He blames me for everything, which isn't entirely fair, but I understand it. I cost him the woman he loved. I cost him his freedom. I cost him his future. You were right to do what you did. Daniel needed consequences. So did I, even though I didn't face legal ones. The consequence for me is knowing I'll never be able to undo what I did, that I'll always be the person who helped steal from someone who didn't deserve it. I'm sorry, Rebecca, for all of it. Marcus. I read the message twice. Then I closed it without responding. The apology was nice. Maybe it was even genuine, but it didn't change anything. It didn't erase what had happened. It didn't undo the pain, but it did confirm something I'd always believed, that standing up for myself, demanding accountability, refusing to let people treat me poorly, those weren't acts of revenge or bitterness. They were acts of self-preservation and justice, and I'd make the same choices again in a heartbeat. Now, 3 years later, I'm engaged again, to Alex this time. We're planning a small ceremony, just immediate family and close friends. The budget is modest, the expectations are realistic, and most importantly, there's complete financial transparency and trust. Sometimes people ask me if I'm nervous, if I worry that history will repeat itself. I tell them no, because I'm not the same person I was 3 years ago. I'm not naive anymore. I'm not willing to ignore red flags or minimize concerning behavior. I know my worth and I know my boundaries. And if anyone ever tried to steal from me again, well, they'd learn the same lesson Daniel learned, that actions have consequences, that love doesn't mean accepting abuse or betrayal, that some people will stand up for themselves no matter how difficult it is. I still have the wedding dress from the canceled wedding. It's in a box in my closet. Sometimes I think about donating it or selling it, but I keep it as a reminder, not of what I lost, but of what I gained. The day I was supposed to get married was the day I learned who I really was, and that person is someone I'm proud to be. The revenge wasn't in the police report or the criminal charges or the jail time. The revenge was in refusing to be a victim, in choosing myself, in building a life so good that the betrayal became just a chapter in my story, not the whole book. Daniel stole $32,000 from me, but I stole something from him too. The ability to avoid consequences. The comfortable lie that love means accepting whatever treatment people give you. The idea that saying sorry is enough without real change. And honestly, that's the best revenge of all.